I'm looking over a four-leaf clover that I overlooked before. One leaf is sunshine, the other is rain. Third is the roses that grow in the lane. No need explaining, the one remaining is somebody I adore. I'm looking over a four-leaf clover that I overlooked before.
Why am I singing a song about four-leaf clovers? Well, I guess because they're lucky for one thing, but remember the song talks about somebody I adore. Well, I adore my wife, but in the summer when it's hot and muggy, I also adore my microwave oven because it keeps my gas range, can put quite a bit of heat into the room. So I use my microwave a little more in the summer. So today we're going to do something, I've done it before using the oven, but today we're going to make microwave rice pudding. So, are we ready to do that? I hope so. Let's get to it. Okay, so we're going to start with 2 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to microwave those for about 33 seconds. And melt the butter. Like the hand drive. Maybe I'll back off just a little bit here. You can see, but I want you to be able to see what's going on here. If you remember last time we did this, when I was making something that required melted butter, I melted the butter ahead of time. But this time I thought I'd let you see the whole process. Alrighty, we have our melted butter. Into the melted butter, we are going to add 1 egg. And yes, I do use both hands cracking an egg, just because I find when I just do the one-handed thing, I usually end up with bits of shell in there. Grab my trusty fork, we're going to break the egg yolk up, and we're going to try and mix that into here as much as we can. Alrighty, to that we are going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You're saying, wait a minute, this seems almost like the recipe you did the other day. Well, it starts off kind of the same, yeah, it does. I'll agree. And we'll just mix that in there, get it blended in. Alright, now we're going to add 3 cups of milk. Use whatever kind of milk you want. I use 1%, but you could use 2% or whole milk. I suppose you could use canned milk, which would make it pretty rich. But if that's the way you like it, go for it. What do we have there? A little bit of egg white didn't get mixed in. Alrighty. Okay, we're going to sprinkle 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. This is a little harder to get mixed in because it tends to lump. But we'll break that up once we heat this up. And we're going to put in, I'm using Splenda, but you want a 1/2 cup of sugar or a 1/2 cup of Splenda, depending on which you prefer. I'll have to use the old-fashioned kind. We'll try and get this as blended in as we can. Alright. Now we're going to put this in the microwave for 1.5 minutes. 1, 3, 0, start. And make sure you put it in for 1.5 minutes and not 1.5 hours. Alright. Now, our last ingredient we're going to add to this, which I haven't put in yet, is, well, I shouldn't say last ingredient. Second to last is some salt, and then of course finally the rice, because it is rice pudding. Now, an optional ingredient you can put in is raisins. I think I've explained before, I don't use raisins because with my wife having diabetes, raisins tend to be little bombs of sugar and can send her blood sugars through the roof. So I omit those, but if you're used to your rice pudding having raisins, by all means add raisins. Or you could maybe want to change things up a bit, put in some dried cranberries or craisins, as we call them here. Alrighty. Starting to get this nice and warmed up. Takes about 1 minute and 20 seconds to heat a cup of milk to boiling, so 3 cups of milk, 1.5 minutes is going to get it hot but not boiling. There we go. And we're going to bring that out again. And we'll take our whisk, we'll whisk it some more. As the milk gets warm and hot, then the cinnamon will break down more. You won't have the lumps. The other thing you can do is put the cinnamon in earlier when you just have the butter and the egg, and make sort of a paste out of it. Like I say, this way works too. It breaks the heat, breaks it up. Alrighty, we'll do another 1.5 minutes. This is just barely warm at the moment. I think I'm gonna tilt you back up and back you off. Do about there, we should get a good combination, and you can see I can lean down here then like a cool chef that I am. Right? Ha ha, ha ha. Anyway, this is, like I say, this is a nice easy way to make rice pudding. It's not going to fill your kitchen with heat, and doesn't really take that long. You're using 1.5 minute increments in the microwave. First to get your milk hot and your cinnamon blended in, and then you're going to add your rice, and then you're going to cook it at 1.5 minutes at a time to get your rice. And that way you can guide it and know when it's ready rather than overdoing it. And while you're watching this video, 1.5 minutes probably seems like forever, right? It's like standing in line at the bank. You're there for all the 3 minutes, but it seems like you spent 3 hours of your life standing in line. Alright, this should be just about done. 21 seconds left to go. And see, now I'm starting to smell it, so that tells me it's getting hot. Alright. I'll bring it out again. And this time we're going to sprinkle our salt in. So you just want to sprinkle that, try and kind of get it evenly across the... And we'll take our whisk, and we're going to try and whisk this all together again. Not try, we're going to whisk this all together again. See, now the glass is starting to feel hot. It's not so hot I can't touch it, but it's hotter. Alright. We'll do one more time at 1.5 minutes, and then we will add our rice. Well, I went down to the farmer's market the other day, but unfortunately they didn't have a farmer I could afford. I kind of get a chuckle out of the misuse of the English language. Right now, about 2 blocks from here, there's a great big Ford dealership, and it says they're having a giant Kent sale on trucks. And I so badly would like to go in there and ask to see the giant tent on the truck and how much they want for it. But I think what they mean is they're having a giant truck sale in a tent, or they're having a truck sale in a giant tent. But the way the thing is worded, it sounds like they're selling a giant tent on top of a truck. So there we go. Personally, I prefer a trailer, but if you want a giant tent on top of a truck, Capital Ford is where you need to be going to buy one. Anybody want to buy a giant piano at the Yamaha piano shop? They're having a giant piano sale. And a huge baby's clothing sale is also going on at the exhibition grounds. So there you are. If you have a huge baby, need some clothing, that's the place you need to go. Alrighty, I'd offer you a cup of coffee, but I think I might short out my camera trying to get it to you. We're down to 15 seconds, and we'll add our rice. Now the top of this is starting to look like chocolate milk. That's from the coloration of the cinnamon and the vanilla. Alright, now we can, and you don't want to just dump your rice in, you want to kind of sprinkle it across the top, and hopefully that'll take some of the cinnamon down with it. And you'll get it spread out a little more evenly in your pan. So it's 3 cups of milk and 3 cups of instant rice. We're using instant rice. Now, if you want to make this using regular rice, you'll have to pre-cook your rice and add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch to your mix to create the thickening. We're going to create thickening with this one by the rice absorbing the milk. Alright, we get this all mixed in here nicely. Alright, now we're going to put it back in the microwave. Guess for how long? That's right, 1.5 minutes. Boy, you guys catch on fast. You don't need me. Alright, now for this point, we are going to put, if I can find it, we're going to put a sheet of wax paper over the top as we do this to help keep some of the moisture in the pudding. Here we go, another 1.5 minutes. So, don't want to talk politics, no, just cause arguments. But we can say, how about those Raptors? And for those of you south of the 49, sorry. I know you were probably rooting for your team, but those of us north of the 49 are pretty happy to see our team up here, the Raptors, win that championship. So, way to go, Raptors. And, that's about the only thing I know about sports going on right now, other than the CFL has started their season already, and unfortunately our Saskatchewan team lost their first game, but that's just the first game, so we've got lots of time to turn things around. Maybe we'll go to the Grey Cup this year. That would be really nice. Anyway, if I was going to offer you a cup of coffee, what kind would you like? Let's see, what do I have? I have decaffeinated regular coffee, decaffeinated hazelnut coffee, regular hazelnut coffee, a Cuban blend, a dark roast, instant coffee, and decaf instant coffee. So that would be your choices. Now if you would prefer tea, you would have the choice of mint tea, licorice tea, sleepy time tea, English breakfast tea, Earl Grey tea, or regular tea. So you'll have to think about that and let me know which one you would go for in the comments. Alright, we're going to bring this out. Give it a stir. It's starting to thicken up already. But of course the rice will want to float to the top to start with, because it's, of course, until it starts soaking up some of the milk, it's going to be lighter than the milk, and so it'll float to the top. So each time we'll have to stir it a little bit. Alright, we'll go back in for another 1.5 minutes. some of you are going to say, oh, that just seems like an awful lot of work. Well, no, not really. Time consuming in a sense, but when you add up the minutes and a half, each minute and a half, you know, you're probably looking at a total of maybe 12 minutes all put together. So it doesn't really take that long. From start to finish, if everything goes well, you're looking at 20 minutes, half hour tops to make this, and you're not putting heat into your house in doing it. Now in the winter, if you're going to make rice pudding, then by all means use your oven because you want the heat in the house. But right now, this is a quick way to make a rice pudding that everybody will enjoy. And who doesn't like rice pudding, right? Alrighty. The other thing that will happen if you put raisins in is occasionally you'll have a raisin explode. If it happens to still have the little stem in it, it'll blow up, it'll expand, and then it'll pop. I shouldn't say explode, it'll pop. So if you have raisins in your rice pudding and you occasionally hear a little pop, don't panic. It's probably one of the raisins rupturing. And that's another good reason to put wax paper over the top because it'll keep the inside of your microwave cleaner. Except for my wax paper, decided to fold itself up inside the inside, so we'll leave it off for now. And we're going to want to bring this to a boil so that the rice will fully absorb the milk. And so I think rather than make you keep watching these minute and a half segments, I'm going to turn you off and bring you back when this is cooked and you can see the final product. Alright, so we're about to take the rice pudding out of the oven for the second to last time, and I'll show you why in a second. Alright. Now you can see it's pretty well cooked. I'll just zoom in there so you can have a better look at it. Oh, I guess it would help if I zoomed in on what we're looking at. There we go. And now what I'm going to do, as you can see, unlike normal normal rice pudding, which gets a skim coat on it from the milk, this doesn't. So I'm taking some brown sugar Splenda and I'm going to sprinkle it on the top. You can use, if you're not diabetic or don't have any reason to cut back, you can just use plain brown sugar. You don't want too much, just want to sprinkle a little bit on there. Now we're going to put it back in the microwave. Zoom back out here. And tilt you back up. Hello. We're going to put this back in the microwave for about a minute. Just enough to melt the brown sugar. Now we're going to get fancy here in a second. Hopefully. I think I might need my oven mitts now. So hopefully what will happen is the brown sugar will melt and then we'll take a knife and just move it back and forth and make a pattern. Now that's optional totally. It's just a matter of making it more decorative to serve your guests. I always get the camera backwards, so my head's leaning to one side and I'm trying to straighten it by leaning the wrong way, and I'm getting further over. There we go. All right. I'd stand on my head for those of you in Australia, but unfortunately you're just going to have to view me upside down. All right. She's ready to come out. Oh, no, not quite ready. We'll give her another minute. You want to get that brown sugar melted. Now, if you have an old-fashioned microwave by some odd chance that does not have a turntable, you will have to, about halfway through each time, you're going to have to stop your microwave and rotate your pan on your own, which is a nuisance. So I would suggest you start saving your pennies in spring for a newer microwave for the turntable, or buy one of those wind-up turntables that you can sit in the bottom. It just makes life so much easier when you're microwaving. We're almost there. Actually, rice pudding is one of my favorite desserts. It's really nice when you have it nice and hot and put a scoop of ice cream in the middle of it. Oh, that's so good. That mixture of the hot and the cold. Oh, don't knock it till you try it. Okay, we're almost there. 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. We have liftoff. Unfortunately, brown sugar Splenda takes more time to melt than, so I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah, what you do is do it until your sugar melts, and then take your knife and just go like this, and then like that, and back, and it'll make nice little sort of pointy designs. But unfortunately, my Splenda is not cooperating and melting like it should, but it has given me kind of a more of a rice pudding look. So let's just zoom in here again so you can see. Oops, I'm not very good with the camera there. So there's our finished product. And I'd like to see what I'm doing here. There we go. I hope you've enjoyed today's recipe. Like I say, it's not that long, maybe 20 to 30 minutes total if you take your time. Not even that long if you put it together quickly. And then what takes the most time, of course, is the cooking, right? But 1.5-minute segments until the very end, and then you can do 2-minute segments for a couple of times. But it's ready to eat. So guess what we're having for supper tonight? And I'll probably reheat it in the microwave so I can have that nice combination of hot and cold with a dollop of ice cream on top. All right, my friends, until Friday, or before maybe, but definitely Friday with our continuing story time and our shout-outs and groaner of the week. Take care, stay safe, and God bless you.